There we are.
All right, we are here. We are ready to rock and roll. Perdicious. Thank you for the 7-month sub, man. Appreciate it. What we doing 7 months?
Are awesome. Well, we actually do have a couple that are like 9 months. Or no, yeah, I think 9 months.
Now. 9 months? We've been at it. No, surely we haven't been at that long, right?
Hold on.
Right?
8 months.
I gotta count. I gotta
8
count.
months.
Hold on. We started May, June, July. May, June, July, August, September, October, November.
Either
8 months. Yeah, it's 8 months.
Harper says.
What the hell?
Harper says 8 months.
Time doesn't make any
time
sense.
go?
Time does not make any sense.
Time's wonky. And with that that statement, time is wonky. It really is. Welcome in, guys. This is the update log, episode 32. I'm Rob, your host, and with me, as always, are Matt and Greg. The frickin' frack.
Frickin' frack are
you call me?
You're too young for that, Matt. Yeah, welcome in, guys. We will be going over a couple of things as the year comes to a close within the industry, a couple of change ups over the last week or so, a couple of pieces, namely to start things off, the 1100 layoffs of Hasbro, namely in the Wizards of the Coast section of their business. The day before, used to be, because it's no longer exists, a game created by a former studio, Fantastic, out of Singapore, I believe. And a recent addition to the lineup tonight, some issues with Insomniac and them getting hacked. But we're going to go into all of that stuff here over the next about hour and a half of our typical show. But I did want to kind of get something out before we dive headfirst into this. So it's, if you've watched our stuff before, we do kind of tear into WotC and Hasbro quite a bit.
It's because we care.
That's part of it, and they also kind of make it easy. To be completely honest,
they're the Activision Blizzard of the TTRPG area, you know.
But we do indeed care. We do indeed care about the community built up around Wizards of the Coast and D&D, and to an extent, I guess we care about Hasbro. I guess, kind of. Not really. At least I
Look,
don't.
who didn't? Okay. I'll say this: who didn't grow up playing some like board games that were created by Hasbro?
I mean, we all do.
There's like almost nobody that didn't have some part of their childhood influenced by Hasbro, and
Like,
people love D&D. Like I love the stuff that they do, like from the game's perspective, but the way the company is run in recent years, that's the thing.
that's the
That,
issue.
that's why it's so easy to get riled up about it, because this is stuff that we care about.
Mm.
Like as much as we rag on Wizards of the Coast, like we love D&D. We play it weekly every Saturday. We enjoy it. It's a good game. It's fun.
Yep.
That's why
So,
it's such a shame to see what happens with the company because of the business decisions.
yep. So with that said, kind of the point I was trying to make is we're not going to sit here and kind of bitch them out this episode. That's not what this is about. This is just about getting the information out there for people to digest, kind of give their perspective on, because no matter how you look at it, letting go of 1,100 people right before the holidays is rough.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
we're gonna go into some of the reasons why, or at least that we know of, because again, we don't know the whole story to this situation. So while things may get a little bit uh, spicy, or has the potential to, we understand that Wizards of the Coast / Hasbro or a company like any other, they have the good and the bad. Um, you know, just got to kind of roll with it. But with that said, let's dive right into it. Let's dive right into. So yes, I believe it was the 13th, the 12th or the 13th. I could be wrong, guys. If you have any clearer,
I think you are correct.
okay, 12th or 13th. We basically, um, Hasbro Wizards of the Coast, or Hasbro WotC, let go of 1,100 individuals, or rather, excuse me, let me correct that because that is actually not entirely correct. Hasbro announced that they would be letting go of 1,100 of their employees. Some within, and most of them within 24 hours, or rather, I should say, some within 24 hours. But I believe the majority of that layoff period is going to be over the next kind of weeks and months, even leading into 2024. So it's not just going to be, wasn't a mass like, pack your shit, get the hell out. It's kind of be in stages.
Yeah, but to
And
put that like number into perspective a bit, 11,000 is about like
1,100,
20%.
1,100.
1,100. Is that not what I said?
Yeah, you
What did I
said
say?
11,000.
Oh no!
Yep, they're
No,
they're they're
sorry. Oh my
closing the
god.
doors. They're done.
No, 11. Sorry, 1,100. 1,100 workers. That's 20% of Wizards of the Coast workforce, which that of the company that's going to be no longer there within however long it takes for those people to leave.
Well, and one of the absolutely most surprising parts of, well, I don't know whether surprising or not, but disturbing maybe parts about this is that the production people, art, sound,
A lot of
media,
people. Yeah.
but I mean basically the team that worked with Larian Studios on probably well, I mean, it won the most game awards this year, but the game of the year,
And nominated for the most too.
right, they like carved all of those people out almost immediately. They're all unemployed now, which to me that's like, wow, okay, what are you guys doing?
That's like one of the craziest things to me, that like these people did their jobs and they did their jobs well. And Baldur's Gate 3's like success, no doubt, brought a lot of money to Wizards of the Coast, because I don't know exactly what type of deal Larian and WotC had, but I do know that Larian paid WotC to use the license for Baldur's Gate 3. We do know that. Don't know the specifics of it, but Baldur's Gate 3's success has brought more eyes and more money to Wizards.
Oh
And
yeah.
for those people who helped forge that connection and help that whole deal succeed with, just flying colors, couldn't have gone better, that they're now let go. It's like, why?
Mhm.
It's crazy to think about it. You could do so well at your job, make things succeed so much, and that still doesn't guarantee any
You're
kind of job security.
you're absolutely right, old man Garrus. With the exception being that
Oh, yeah.
WotC as a division of Hasbro is the ones that are being hit.
Yeah, okay, you are right, Garrus. Thank you for the correction there.
So yeah, I was
All
actually going
across
to get to that.
Hasbro, not just workers in WotC.
Yeah, I was going to get to that point. I believe WotC specifically did have a very large
Oh,
layoff within the last couple of years. I think honestly, if you total it all out, the folks that were let go from WotC specifically, I believe totals in the range of like 800. I think. Then again, don't quote me on that.
old man Garrus just answered the question for you.
Okay, there we go. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
so I know, again, I know people are like all up in arms about Hasbro letting go to personnel, thinking it's all coming from WotC. It's not. It was across the board, but WotC I know were the heaviest hit. And there are but many theories, and we're kind of going to go into a couple of them. The thing for me, the surprising thing for me, is the quality of talent they let go. I mean, Greg, you said it right off the bat. They let go of folks. I think he was the lead game designer, or one of them, on projects for D&D for 5e. Excuse me. I mean, he was one of the individuals. I mean, I'm pretty sure this. I have to look up his freaking name now. Hold on. He actually kind of on par with Gygax and that crew.
Careful,
I'll look up.
and like I think a lot of that is worrying because this is like on the cusp of the new version of D&D coming out. What 5.5 they're calling it? So like on the cusp of this, the next step for D&D being released that they're still working on. They've let go of so much talent, and you have to wonder how is this going to affect D&D's next major step. Are they still going to have enough talent left to make it what it should be? Because in the time since 5e has come out, D&D has exploded in popularity. Like it's becoming a little more mainstream. You had the D&D movie, you had Baldur's Gate 3, you have Critical Role, you have all this stuff. So D&D is like has never been bigger than what it is now. So it really, and I mean really, needs to like do well on this next edition, or
Yeah.
that could spell very bad news for the company.
Yeah, I mean they let go of, and again, thank you guys for bearing with me to kind of pull up their names. Again, they let go a lot of quality individuals, guys like Dan Dillon, Tristan Falcone, both designer on D&D and a graphic designer. Amy Dallin, who if you follow their channel, kind of D&D Beyond and Dungeons and Dragons, the YouTube channel, she's one of the producers and hosts of D&D Beyond. Larry from David McDarby, who is a game designer on Magic the Gathering. These are key individuals within the D&D kind of creative pipeline. These weren't just your run-of-the-mill designers and developers. And again, not to take anything away from the run-of-the-mill designer and developer, but these are kind of mainstays. I mean, Rob Sather as well, who's the art manager. These are guys who were at WotC for quite a while.
They made too much money. Let them go.
Yeah, and you say that, Greg, but how much did Chris Cox take home this year? I think it's to the tune of, I think, one of you guys can correct me, like
I
9.2 million.
That's around the ballpark, I believe. And it's funny you mention that because the man's personal income has been going up year after year, and I know people always say this, and okay, I'm actually just going to bring up an example of one time when I could give a CEO a lot of respect and how differently they handle a situation like this.
Yeah.
Because in this case, Chris Cox, his income keeps going up, and when the company isn't doing well, rather than take any sort of pay cut, he decides to cut other people's jobs out of the way.
So what are you saying? It's not necessarily the classic two for me and one for here's one for you. It's this time around it's two for me and oh look, there's none for you.
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
if let's go back like several years to the Wii U. And we all know how the Wii U went. The Wii U did not do well for Nintendo. That console failed. Not to say it didn't have some good games on it. I had a Wii U and I enjoyed it, but it was nothing compared to the Wii or the Switch that came after it.
Yeah.
And the CEO of Nintendo at that time
His
actually
name is Satoru Iwata. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I butchered the pronunciation of his name. I apologize.
So he actually took a pay cut to his own salary so he could keep more of the talent at Nintendo there and working to continue to keep the business going. And then look what happened. They made the switch after that.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And that did amazingly well. So I have to give some respect to that move because he put the health of the company overall as the first priority there instead of his own personal gain.
You hit the nail on the head with that statement right there, Matt. Put the health of the company first. That's exactly what they did. And unfortunately, a lot of major media companies, game companies also, but I mean a lot of the major media companies right now, such as Disney, are they're harvesting the garbage that they've been sowing for the last few years at this point. Cutting, all the people who knew how to write a story. And I'm not saying the people that are still there don't know how to write a story, but it's, I mean, these are folks that for years have been producing quality product that the customers, us, love. And they've cut those people. They've cut them out. Now they go back to the drawing board and they look at, okay, what do we have? And unfortunately, they just don't have what they need to be able to immediately turn that situation around. And I think we potentially are seeing the same thing that's happening to WotC right now.
Oh yeah, because they're prioritizing this short term gain, lowering overhead by cutting, such a huge portion of your workforce, and not looking at the long-term picture of the health of the company because they want to make sure that their salaries don't take the hit so that they can keep getting their money.
Yeah, and Old Man Garrett brings up some good numbers. He basically said, let's look at Hasbro. They are looking at a 15% revenue decline in the year of 2023, which is true. They are. They've seen a bit of a decline over a number of things throughout the years. For those of you who kind of been keeping up with the information, things like the OGL situation at the beginning of 2023 in January, situations like finding out that AI art was used in Glory of the Giant compendium. There's a number of different things like that, and just the situation going on economically for the entire world in the year of 2023. So some stuff like that is expected. and it kind of outlines that looking at kind of that 15% decline, it's really impacted by kind of they lost revenue on in their toy section, basically My Little Pony, Nerf, and Transformers.
Yeah, toys and stuff.
Yeah, which is understandable. I guess
Times are changing.
Times are changing. Interests are shifting. And yeah, Old Man Garrus, you bring up a good point. Bonuses are contractual and based on specific criteria. However, for me, that's kind of still an issue, personally speaking. If your company is suffering that hard, why your CEOs and C-suite, execs still taking home your multi-million dollar bonuses or whatever the hell they want to call it.
Yeah, and here Old Man Garrus brings up like the sections of Hasbro that are struggling. They're My Little Pony, Nerf, Transformers, these other departments that aren't WotC, but WotC is now suffering because of that. And so like cutting so many jobs from WotC, from what is essentially one of Hasbro's currently like one of their most profitable divisions, really seems like they're shooting themselves in the foot here, because that's their moneymaker right there, and it's getting dragged down by everything else right now. And that it just seems like this should be the time where they should instead be investing into Wizards to try to turn this into, this let it flourish, because that's the thing that's working right now.
Ironically enough, they even let go of I was finally remember the name, Mike Merle, who was 5th edition's one of their lead designers. The guy's at this point, he's now synonymous with Gygax and that group in terms of his just creative chops. The guy helped create the foundation of 5th edition, which, if you guys don't know, is actually the longest running edition of D&D ever.
Yeah. When did 5th edition come out?
2014, I want to say. If I remember off the top of my head.
I think you're right.
Oh, if true, then about a decade that thing's been going on. So yeah, that's a very long and successful edition of D&D. And I want to point out one thing about some of the people in WotC that have been let off, and because they've let off a lot of people from the art, a lot of their artists.
Yes, they have, and there's a lot of theories around all that.
Yeah, and after the fiasco with Glory of the Giants, with the AI art in there, that does not leave a good taste in my mouth. Because of course WotC at the time claimed oh, we didn't know that this was AI art, which I'm pressing X to doubt on that one, because the artists Twitter, their socials put it on full display that they do AI art and stuff like that. Which okay, I'll clarify a bit. They did a lot of their own art, and then they used AI to touch it up. So it wasn't completely AI generated, but it was AI assisted, I guess I'll say. But
a way to put it,
yeah. So it's not like he just he's still, the guy was still an artist, just used AI assistance. But after that whole fiasco went down, and now hearing that they've let go a lot of their art team, I'm like, I don't want that to be the direction that D&D's art goes.
Go ahead.
Well, at least in my own personal opinion, it's pretty clear that the direction they're taking is pretty aggressively stepping in the direction of AI. And that's across all of their IPs, and especially with what they've been doing with D&D Beyond and that whole situation, the announcements they made about being able to provide AI DMs and things like that. It is definitely a direction to go with your company. I'm not, I think the verdict is still out there. AI is still relatively new, and There's a lot of people that are experimenting with it. And I mean, go on any platform right now. Etsy, okay, you know, yeah, yeah, shocker. But a lot of the artwork that you're buying on there right now is all AI generated stuff. It's not people drawing that
Mhm.
stuff. There are a lot of really great artists even in the Etsy community. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of really great artists that are out there, but there's the community itself that has grown around these artists. And I mean the real artists, not the people making AI generated stuff. They're worried. They're very worried because this is their livelihood that's
Mm.
being absorbed by people who are just out there cranking out stuff off of Mid Journey and whatnot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Um,
chat
which honestly
that
takes
stuff.
no work at all.
well, right,
um,
and but the fact is then they're able to turn around and sell that stuff cheap on a platform like Etsy,
mm,
um, and make a lot of money off of it, and that's all revenue that's being taken away from the people who are literally out there creating art.
Yeah, and that's part of why they're probably why they're and so many other companies are trying to make this push towards AI because it cuts costs. You know,
yeah,
like I mean, the quality of what comes out afterwards, that's a whole other discussion. But at the core matter is that it cuts cost. Why pay someone to make a drawing for you when you can have this AI that you probably have like a simple subscription for, and you could have it pump out a lot of pieces of artwork.
yeah.
So I
In
see like why for companies that's incredibly appealing.
Yeah, and that's I mean that's one of the theories kind of going around. But before I kind of get into my piece on that, let's kind of address some of the comments in the chat. Old man Garris says more details you have to look at. As part of the announcement, they also announced that they're closing their Rhode Island office. This office has close to 2,000 employees and were given an option to either relocate or early retirement, which is also part of the 1,100 count that were let go. And he's completely right. That is true. They are closing their Rhode Island offices, and I'm assuming some of them took the relocation package to move elsewhere, and some took early retirement. So yeah, again, I don't want to, as I said earlier, kind of that disclaimer. I don't want to us to sit here and kind of bash on WotC too hard.
Yeah,
Because it's not like they just kind of shove people out the door.
yeah, they
Um,
didn't like give
with
them the
that,
boot, full on. Like they
with
are
that
give them something,
with that said, suddenly losing your job, or knowing that you're going to lose your job if you weren't part of the first kind of rounds of layoffs, is still tough, especially with the holidays coming on. But to kind of tie into what Matt and Greg were talking about in terms of the AI portion of kind of this whole piece, and kind of the theory crafting that's going on as to the direction WotC is taking. That's very much it. It feels like, especially with the VTT portion that they're creating, which apparently is much further along than people thought. Um, there's kind of evidence out there, and some folks who have managed to play around with the VTT with the developers and designers themselves, kind of confirmed that the VTT is very much further along. I mean, the CEO of WotC herself. Let me figure out her name, man, because I can't remember it. Cynthia Williams. Quick little Google search always never hurts. But anyway, Cynthia Williams basically has been quoted saying Watts and inherently this is not a bad thing. So I will say that basically WotC is looking to gain the longevity in terms of revenue that video games, live service video games, are experiencing, meaning that monthly subscription. Hence why they're coming out with the VTT, and they're moving to more of a digital approach to a lot of their works, or all of their works, I'm sure, because you would have to pay for access to that. You would have to continuously words pay for access to that, so you stay up to date on the latest rules, errata, not errata. Keep your minds out of the gutter. Um,
I don't
and
know.
keep moving in that direction. And that's honestly, that's very much the direction that, at least from all the research I've done, all the research we've done, and others who've spoken on the topic, that's definitely the direction they're moving. They're moving to put everything behind a paywall, make sure that you're paying that money. Everybody's paying that money, not just the DM. Which honestly, that is part of, in a way, their loss of revenue. Is that typically at a table, whether it's through D&D Beyond or through Rolls 20 or any other, virtual tabletops, or at a live table, the DM is really the only individual that needs to have all of the resources. They're the one running the game. Players don't even need a player handbook. DM could provide that. But yeah, so that's kind of the direction they're moving in. Or again, kind of bring some of what chat says to light. So baptized in pus, interesting name. Instead of WotC working with third-party 5e content creators, they threaten them by saying WotC can apprehend whatever 5e content they want and use it without paying the original creators. And that's
That
alluding to the
OGL
OGL
scandal.
situation. Yeah, the OGL situation that happened this past January. And we've done videos on that. We actually did a couple of videos regarding that. And there's tons of information out there. I highly recommend you guys go and read it. But long and short of it is that, and a lot of that stuff's been since rolled back. But the long and short of it is, when it initially came out, third-party content creators like Cobalt Press, Legends of Evantris, all of these third-party content creators that have created full-length modules or pieces of content. Some of them are full-length adventure books or supplemental material for the core game. We're making their livelihood off of that, and it WotC came out with an OGL adjustment that basically said, yeah, we're going to take what you've written and make it officially ours, and you aren't going to get any payment. Oh, and if you make this much, you have to pay us a certain amount of money, which is ironic because WotC and D&D as a whole are only alive, in my personal opinion, because of the community, because of the third-party creators, because of the homebrew folks that have basically fixed some of WotC's kind of design fuck-ups and offered it to the community.
Yeah, it's the same reason why there are video games out there that continue being relevant, because they have a modding community. Games like Skyrim. There are lots of mods for the most recent hot game, Lethal Company. And that's essentially what homebrewing is. It's the tabletop game version of modding. You have homebrew rules, the new items, classes, adventures, whatever. And WotC thought that they could pull, it was literally just that meme where WotC was looking at third-party content and was like, you made this? I made this. I mean, I think that's the simplest way to put the move they tried to pull. And obviously that wasn't good. That did not go over well with the community.
But I think honestly, that whole move around the OGL, which we've talked about that a few times, but I think that whole move, although absolutely disastrous for WotC, I think that was good for the rest of the community, because it woke people up, and it made people actually step back. It put a lot of people into panic mode because of how it impacted or could potentially impact their revenue. Yes. But it really woke up the community, and people stood up, looked at that, and said, "Okay, no, we're not doing this." And that's all the way.
Put their foot down.
Right. Well, and that's all the way from other publishers that had built their company basically working off of that OGL, and from there all the way down to this, the small art, home business artists that are out there producing content.
Yeah, I mean, and even down to us as the community, of players, DMs. I believe I think the final tally was around 40,000 of folks that were subscribed to D&D Beyond left within like the first. I'm gonna say month, probably sooner than that. Like they lost 40,000 subscribers to D&D
But
Beyond
it
almost
it
overnight.
it definitely
Yeah.
gave platforms like Foundry a shot in the arm for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to point that out real quick because that is how you really prove your displeasure with the company's decisions. Like, making posts on social media is one thing. They'll raise awareness. Type in all caps on Twitter, whatever. But ultimately, that stuff isn't enough. But what people did was they hit WotC's bottom line by unsubscribing from D&D Beyond. And that is the language that companies speak, their bottom line. So you affect that. That's how you really get your thoughts across to them. And that's how they really understood that, yes, that decision was actually dangerous for them to make as a company.
Old man Garrus is here to be a counterpoint tonight. I love it. Thank you, brother.
Leaving a service will impact your staffing for that product.
It absolutely will.
I mean,
It's not wrong.
true,
It's absolutely not wrong.
but they would bring it on themselves, I suppose. Like, yeah, it sucks that people have been losing their jobs at WotC, but we can see why that is the case when they've lost money due to their own decisions, not because D&D as a product itself is failing, because it's not. It's never been better.
Yeah, it's actually growing. I think it grew 20% each year for the last couple of years. I could be wrong on that, but I know D&D's popularity and interest in it it's definitely on the rise. Like it's going up despite kind of what WotC. Well, it's not a claim. It is actually true. Their stocks have been dropping, but that's not in relation to the interest of WotC. That's just because Hasbro's kind of shot themselves in the foot in that regard.
Bad decisions are bad decisions, and there's
Exactly.
so many things that can be impacted. Since we got onto that stock piece, I just got to throw this out there. And I know I'm making some comparisons here when it comes to a reach comparison, but it's not really a reach comparison. Disney, I mean, in the last year, that company has lost $152 billion in market cap. What does that tell you?
Oof.
You know, you're doing it wrong. Simple as that. It doesn't matter how big you are or whether you're Disney or Hasbro or whatever. You're doing it wrong. You are not making your customers happy. You're not. You stopped making product for your customers and you started making product for your shareholders, basically, or something like that. You're not serving the right people. Is really what it comes down to. So that's my take on it.
And
I mean, it's like the Marvel Cinematic Universe stopped being interesting after Endgame because they moved from making actually good movies to just going quantity over quality, and now it's like you watch one
and all that shit. Yeah.
Well, it's not just that. Again, it's just about.
I mean, that's part of it. That's part of the problem. I can tell
part
you
of it, maybe, but I feel like I watch one of their movies and I watch another. I'm like, I just watched the same thing. Like they hit so many of the same like notes. Like they're so formulaic to where it's just like a different coat of paint put on it, but it's just everything is just the same feeling.
And I also want to kind of elaborate on something Baptized said. He said, being a professional artist, I see AI devastate a lot of artistic avenues. And Baptized, if you're paying attention, which I hope you are, can you elaborate on that in the chat a little bit more? Because that is definitely of interest to us, and I think to a lot of our viewers and just folks in general. Like I haven't really heard from kind of the artistic community in regards to their take on AI and kind of how it's been affecting y'all. And I'm genuinely interested.
Yeah, because I mean, from what I've heard, I don't think a lot of artists are happy with it because I already know that artists who like live off of like commissions for artwork already have a hard enough time as it is.
Yeah.
Especially when there are like certain clats who like don't want to pay anything or will do the thing of I'll pay you an exposure type of bullshit.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, they'll pay me an exposure just like the 5 last people I talked to. And like, so I already know that it's a rough life. And so when a new tool comes out for people to, generate some cheap art, then that's like another that, you know, essentially it essentially keeps a lot of their would-be clients away because now there's a cheaper alternative.
Yeah, and again, one of the other theories that kind of I've heard through the grapevine in the community with regards to like D&D and stuff like that is the push for the VTT. All the developers and designers working on that, they're going to face the same kind of end result that physical designers and artists, of the physical product, excuse me, are going to facing now. Once that VTT is up and running and going, they're going to probably cut that workforce down because all you need is to maintain. And honestly, the guys posing these theories are not wrong. Once D&D has that VTT up and everything locked behind um, a digital paywall and everything is digitized, they don't need the amount of people in it that they have now. Cut that in half, and basically, if you need to go in there and post some errata or change here, you have access to it without having to republish a whole new print.
Yeah, and
Not that money.
Yeah, and it like in your earlier like description of like their words about the new business model, like they're using live service games as a reference for the business model, is kind of funny considering the fact that live service games are over this past year have been imploding. Like so many of them have been dying. So it's like, how well is this really gonna go? Because we're seeing that business model.
It's dying.
We're seeing how unsustainable it was.
I want to comment really quickly on what Baptize is saying because he's brought up some really good stuff in regard to the question that you asked, Rob, and on that last piece that you put out there, Baptize. I could personally understand a individual DM who decides to use AI art for Twitch channel, something like that. I've used AI art. We use some AI art for the Twitch channel. And I can understand that because it is cheap and easy. I don't,
convenient.
For somebody, for a small channel or for an individual, I can understand because art can get expensive really quickly. There's a lot of work that goes into that. Where it becomes problematic to me is when you have these monstrous companies that
can afford.
I mean well, and that's just it. They are turning this stuff, every bit of that art that they're getting. I mean, that cost goes and gets passed on to the consumer. Now, we'll see if there's a benefit to the consumer with AI art, because ideally, if they're saving that much money, then the price of their product should be going down too. That should some of that should get passed on to the consumer. I'm very suspect as to whether that's actually going to happen or not.
I'm gonna call it now. It's not going to go down. And if it goes down, it's not going to go down by much. Like I mean, there were leaks earlier, about the middle of the year of possible subscription prices for this VTT, and once everything's kind of locked behind that digital paywall, of $30 is starting. Now, I don't think it's going to be that high, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's $15, $20, and it just goes up from there until as a DM, you'll want all the bells and whistles for your players to enjoy. You probably spend $100 a month. That's a bill. That's a whole ass bill. You would honestly think that the cost of all that stuff would go down, with what you said, Greg. I don't think it will. And again, if it goes down, it's not going to go down by much. So Baptize, just to kind of give you give you guys an idea of what was said. So he's been or she could be either one. I don't know. Has been a professional tattooer for the last 30 years, and they've done art for things like metal bands and whatnot. And according to them, people are actually moving to AI for stricter designs and album covers. Which I can see that. I can totally see that. Album covers maybe not so much because I don't know. I'd want something with a little bit more. At least for me personally, I want something a little bit more sentimental value and kind of like I would want a tie for if I'm putting if I'm a musician, I'm putting out an album. I want something that I'm kind of tied to as an album cover, but here or there. Um, and like Greg said, a DM of theirs used kind of AI for their campaign. But apparently they're having clients come in with AI art to get tattooed. That's weird. I'm sorry. I personally, again, hell no. I'm gonna have my first of all, I'm gonna come with something that I want, like something that I thought of, not some fucking machine. And also, for those of you guys who don't know, whenever you're getting a tattoo done, always talk with your artist, your tattooer. They've been assuming they know their stuff. They're gonna have some recommendations that are probably not gonna 100% match your thing. But anyway,
well, when it comes to tattoo art, I mean, part of their pay is making that design. That's part of how they're getting paid. So when
they're giving you the benefit of their expertise.
My question is, whether you charge separately for the artwork or not, are they expecting you to are they expecting to pay you less for the tattoo because they brought their own art?
That's honestly, I would not be surprised if that's part. If that's part of their argument to get a discount on their tattoo. It's like, well, I did the work. I brought in a piece of art. You just got to tattoo it.
Why are there so many figures on this tattoo? I love it.
That's one of the problems. Oh, eyes too. Eyes. Oh my god. Trying to do anything that's not human.
I really struggle with eyes. But I think it's pretty regular for a lot of people getting tattoos to come in with essentially a reference image of what
and that's
they
okay.
Want. But I don't think whether it's
I think, and I might be wrong, but I think what Baptize is saying is that these people are bringing this AI art and saying, "I want this," which this leads me back to that same question. Is the idea then that they're going to pay you less to do the tattoo because they brought their own art? And then the other part to it is a lot of these tattoo artists in particular, I mean, they resell their designs. I mean, they make that design, and then if you want the design, you can buy the design. But otherwise, they're going to put the design up on the wall, and somebody else can come in and pick off that wall. Hey, yeah, I want this. I really like this, whatever it happens to be. That's part of how they make their money. I mean,
yeah. And Insomnia, sorry, not Insomnia, Infinity, thought it was Insomnia for a minute. Hopefully, if he's in the chat, how you doing, buddy? But Infinity, of course, said the price of the product will not get lowered. The price will stay the same, and the company will make more money. And yeah, I honestly completely agree with you on that one. That's probably what's going to happen. And this push towards, again, digital product, VTTs, and again, we're talking about WotC in this situation, is pushed to sell the product at basically the same price and make more money on their end in that regard.
You look at a lot of the great artwork that has come out. I'm going to say over the past 40 years, and I go back and look at some of the early D&D products. That's if it going forward, we're potentially not going to have that. We're going to have this AI generated stuff. And there's whole communities, whole industry really that sprouted up around generating that artwork. Is that going to continue to exist, or are these companies like WotC essentially just going to create a position within their company where your job is to use whatever platform, Midjourney or whatever it happens to be, or whatever the platform of the future is, to generate this AI generated art for us, so that we can put this into our products. And it Well, and it completely ruins the relationship piece to this. 'Cause, you know, you talk to an artist that's doing cover artwork, okay? Um, they're taking a risk as well as you being the publisher or the creator of whatever it is that you're doing. Um, when it comes to you know, a group like WotC, I mean that risk is much more limited than it is for a small publisher who is literally putting them. You know, you may have your last penny invested in producing that product and getting it to print, and just, you know, cross your fingers and hope that it sells, that people like it. Um, now, you know, the caveat here is looking at how successful a lot of the most recent Kickstarters have been for RPGs.
Oh yeah, they've
But
been absolutely successful.
you know, the
Yeah.
artists are a big part of that. I mean, a big part of making a successful game is the art that goes into it. It really
Oh,
is.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Like,
I mean, I'm gonna name off a couple right off the top of my head. You got Legends of Evantris, the Crooked Moon, I believe it finished a couple months ago. You got Ryoko's Guide to the Yokai Realms, which finished also a couple of months ago. The art on both of those Kickstarters, if you take a look at them, are absolutely fucking phenomenal.
mhm.
yeah.
Absolutely
Like,
phenomenal.
yeah. Like people say don't judge a book by its cover, but books are absolutely judged by their cover, and that's why,
Oh, for sure.
you know, you're putting something out there. It's gotta look good because first
Mhm.
impressions matter a lot, and their first impression is going to be that
How
cover.
does it
So
look?
you need it
Yeah,
to look fucking good. It needs to
yeah.
look
You
as
got
it needs to look fucking fantastic, so people actually look what's inside the book. Because if you just have like
exactly.
stick figures on the outside, people probably, I mean, that might catch a few people's attention and be like, they're going for some sort of minimalist thing here. Let me see. And most people are going to
Black
see
and
that and just pass it by.
black and white, baby. That's what ours is going to be. It's going to have staples in the binder.
Yeah. So
I'm glad
it's
you're still here, Infinity Core. And wow,
whoa.
Baptized, you back 60 to 80 Kickstarters a year. If you don't mind me asking, I guess, is it mostly a specific, I guess, genre? I guess is the best way to put it. Um, is it mostly focused on games, or you kind of have a diverse portfolio there? And honestly, on behalf of the Kickstarters that you back, thank you. I mean, I got no stake in the game on any of them, but you know, we ourselves will be having a Kickstarter at some point in the next year, probably a little more than that, for our
At least
game
that's
when
the
it
plan.
comes out.
That's the plan at least.
So
We'll see what
yeah,
happens when we get
I
closer
hope
to it.
I hope that wasn't a sales pitch, because it really sucked. But
no, I was not. I was not a sales pitch. You know, I don't do sales. I'm terrible at that shit. But I mean, yeah, like it's just it's kind of ironically enough, leave it to WotC to start the year in shit and end the year in shit. They just bookended a interesting year for themselves. So there we go.
I mean, that's why I keep keep comparing them to Activision Blizzard. There's always news coming out of
They're
these
always
guys.
on that. And here's the funny thing. I'm starting to think they're kind of doing this shit on purpose. I'm gonna put on my little tinfoil hat because, as the saying
maybe.
goes, and any publicity is good publicity.
Stock prices
So,
would like to disagree with that
I
statement.
mean, yeah,
Because you
but
can get a CEO who says one wrong thing, stock prices go down.
I mean, just look at John Riccatello. Oof.
You know,
But
it works differently if you're already a household name. I gotta say that
exactly,
it works
yeah.
differently that way. Disney, honestly, Apple. I mean, those companies should not be. They should not be screwing around with their customers. I
Oh no,
mean,
definitely.
Yeah,
that's just not a good idea. You know, the whole any publicity is good. You know, is good publicity thing for companies that are that size. You're just you're 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 pissing off your customers. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
agreed.
when the idea is to reach new people and to get your name out there. That saying absolutely applies, because the more people that your name, your brand is coming off of their tongue, the better. because it gets you out there into the public, and it gives people a reason to say, I maybe I should check that out for myself and see what my opinion
Exactly.
is. You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
but who needs to go look at Apple? I mean, if you don't know Apple or
I
Disney,
know.
you've
But
been
you
living
live.
under a rock your whole life. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and Harper says from what they've been seeing, just kind of a quick Google search. That's kind of the way it's always been for WotC apparently. They kind of start in shit and then end in shit, but kind of somewhere in the middle they do halfway decent. And then honestly, honestly, I can see that because so this last playtest 8, just wrapped up recently, and general theme of sorry, the general consensus, not theme, the general consensus for playtest 8 in the direction that this new edition, well, it's kind of a new edition, is just like basically it's like 5.5 of D&D, is positive. Like people like the direction things are going. So honestly, Harper, you kind of hit on something that is looking like it's true. And yeah, old man Garris he said it's a great distraction from the fact that the OGL is only for 5.0, and any new version fall outside of the OGL. 100% true. Yep. Yep. Yep.
I
Exactly.
just to be clear, old man Garrus, I am not in that groupie club of poor Watsy because I don't like either
Did it to
one.
themselves. Yep. And what a great PR team to go and turn all the people who hated on them on the OGL are now saying poor Watsy, evil Hasbro. I mean, yeah, I agree with you, old man Garris. Like that's definitely a spin.
Can they
And
both be evil?
Baptized, probably they probably are in some cases. But Baptized said, "Is anyone excited for 5.5 D&D?" There are. I mean, yeah, people are. A lot of the content creators that I follow and have been talking about the recent playtests, guys like Treant Monk, D&D Shorts, Dungeon Dudes, which they've come out with their own stuff. Ghostfire Gaming, all these guys. I'm just shouting out fantastic designers and creators in their own right. But they all seem to be fairly excited for 5.5, I guess. It's a lack of a better way to put it. But
There's a high degree of anticipation. I think
yeah,
that's
and I think
really.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I'll say because like 5e, it's a fun game, but it's not a perfect one. It does have its faults. Like monk class,
Oh
what's
no, well
going on
that's one
there?
of
It's
that
garbage. You
that
know.
well that's one of the things I'm personally excited for, and I'm freely gonna admit this. The monk class is pretty good. It's pretty good in 5.5. This last I was reading through the because I have all their playtest material downloaded. I was reading through this latest it's kind of like a PHP light, and the monk got some buffs. The monk's looking a little spicy. So but yeah, Insomnia Night and live service D&D is coming. It's coming. It is what it is. Uh, and Oman Gear said to go back on the Hasbro number, the impact to the company was also on the IT side. Okay, well that did not come up in any of my research, so thank you for that. Which is more impacted in the other areas by them having to go more offshore than onshore for the digital offering support and new functionality. That's probably in preparation for the VTT. If I had to hazard a guess.
Yeah, I'd say so. That's very
Yeah.
likely.
But so that is yeah. I mean that's WotC in a nutshell for the last year. The last year, the culmination of 2023. However,
You got to kind of think of this in terms of Star Wars because
yeah,
in our picture today, Hasbro is kind of like the evil empire, Now, WotC by proxy is part of Hasbro, so I'm not saying that they're the evil empire, but hey, if you're a collaborator, I mean,
So
yeah,
are you saying that WotC's like Darth Vader and Hasbro's Emperor
Palpatine.
Palpatine?
ooh, ooh.
Is
I
that
don't
a
know if
high
I'd go there.
comparison?
I don't know if I'd go there.
That's a pretty good comparison, though. Honestly, I mean, fair enough, fair enough. And here's the thing, guys, before we kind of change tracks and move on to some of the other things that we're going to talk about tonight. Um, WotC in Hasbro and kind of all that stuff, the reason, at least me personally, and I think I can kind of speak for Matt and Greg on this, but obviously they'll speak for themselves as well. The reason why guys like us, other content creators that kind of speak on D&D content and WotC as a company, the reason why we kind of bring this to your public eye, aside from the fact that you as consumers should know about this, and why we're so passionate about it is because we care about the game. I mean, that's the long and short of it. We care about the game. And me personally, I care about the third-party studios like Cobalt Press, Ghostfire Gaming, um, you know, that have created really good content off of the back of this stuff, and have kept that passion and that creative endeavor that comes with D&D alive. Because don't get it twisted. And Watsy, if you ever fucking hear this shit, don't get it twisted. It's not because of the shit that you design, more or less, that your company is still thriving. It's because of the community. Point blank,
Well,
period. Full
in
fucking stop.
in our our hope is that they can continue to design top quality
Exactly.
product and
Yeah.
not just the money grab stuff.
Mhm.
That's my concern. It really is. When
Yeah.
it comes
Yeah.
down to what's going on right now, I mean, I see the potential for upcoming products to be so focused on just commercializing the IPs that in a way it would be good because people who are out there who are looking for authentic creation, something with some real meat in it, a story, are going to start turning to other options. But it would be sad. It would be sad to see a legacy product like Dungeons and Dragons become
A
the
footnote.
well the yeah, right, a cookie cutter
Yeah.
style game
Huh?
where it's just generic.
Yeah, no, I
um
completely agree. And here's the thing. And this is going to be a hot topic, especially, or a hot take, especially consider what we've talked about. When it comes to live service, the live service model, whether it's, I mean, right now it's only in gaming, like video games, but even coming to TTRPGs, I I have no problem with that. And but here's my caveat: as long as you're providing me value for the money that I'm continually spending on your product, I got no issue. Like a VTT, like kind of 3D simulator kind of deal for D&D would be dope as fuck. Honestly, I'm objectively speaking, it really would be. It would kind of take the convenience of things like Foundry and Roll20, you know, and instead give you a very real representation and a 3D representation of your game. That would be awesome as hell. It'd be like playing a video game live, like right there, a story that your DM or you helped create. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
But don't
Like,
fucking nickel and dime me for every little thing, which is honestly the direction of all live services have gone. Is how much money can we milk out of your pocket?
yeah, and that's why so many live services have started dying out because okay, I won't say all live services are like that,
Okay,
but a lot of them are, and that's why they're imploding because it's not a sustainable
I mean,
system.
I beg to differ. I think it's a sustainable system if you're providing value instead of looking to what's the word I'm looking for here? Looking to kind of shortchange your audience and just focus on your profit margin. But to kind of address in chat, because there's a couple of things that just came out. First of all, Infinity Core says there is a 3D sim out for D&D already. That I didn't know. Thank you for that information. I'm gonna have to go look at that. And Insomnia Night also piped up with apparently Foundry can be made 3D. Again, didn't know. My only experience with VTTs is primarily Roll20. So, I don't know. And he brings up a pretty good point. Most TTRPG people don't have gaming PCs, which honestly, I'm pretty sure you'll have to have at least a decent PC to probably run this VTT anyway. So that is also a fair point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
depending
and
on
then
how detailed the 3D environments and models
mm,
are, and
yeah,
I'm sure they'll
Mhm.
have like effects for like attacking or spells,
spells and stuff.
etc.
Yeah. No. So again, I know that might be a kind of a controversial take, based on kind of what we've been saying. But for me personally, I wouldn't have a problem with that. With I don't have a problem with the live service model because again, at the end of the day, and Greg, you've said it, we've said it here. A business needs to be profitable, but it needs to be profitable to be healthy. That's the long and short of it. Company needs to make money to thrive and kind of push the bounds of what they're capable of
Right,
and
right.
provide value to their employee, to not just their employees, but to the customer base. And that for me is a key piece. Provide value for my fucking money.
Yeah,
Well,
Simple as.
there is a weird phenomena that's happened over the COVID era,
Yeah.
and that what happened during that time is a lot of these companies they seen the writing on the wall. There was a huge opportunity for these companies to make a lot of money because the industry was rapidly growing. So people didn't have anything else to do. They didn't have anywhere else to spend their money. So they're
yeah.
looking for entertainment. They can't go out to the restaurant or the bar, or they can't do public gatherings and all this other stuff. So they're
Mhm.
looking for ways to entertain themselves, and rightly so. And a lot of these companies seen that opportunity and immediately dove after it. I'm not going to say that's wrong, um, but there was no foresight to the downside of it.
Yeah. And
To
baptize, I'll address that in a moment. But go ahead, Greg. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
that really created a problem for a lot of these companies, and it
Mhm.
may very well be a big part of what's going on with Hasbro, WotC right now, and other groups that are out there that are going through similar issues with the layoffs and all that stuff. And it may just simply be that they swelled their ranks to be able to absorb, take care of the customer, I guess you could say, and that
Mhm.
is what it's all about. But they swelled their ranks to be able to absorb these profits and be able to have the products available for the people when they wanted them. And now that the market's turning the other direction, or the economy is really tightening up with inflation and all the other things going on in our world, um, maybe that's a big piece of what's going on. I'm sure that it is a contributor,
Yes.
just as
Yeah,
well as
as far
greed is also a contributor.
Mhm.
yeah,
And
like in
go ahead.
most cases, there's usually more than just one reason, but
Yeah.
it's usually a multitude of reasons why X, Y, and
Uh,
Z
I,
happens. But
I
yeah,
think that is like the only argument that Old Man Garrus left me for tonight, so I had to throw it out there.
So, so to kind of bring up some of the stuff said in chat. So, Baptized basically said he remembers hearing about paying for each class on the upcoming VTT systems. And I want to clarify, Baptized, you're talking about the WotC D&D kind of system, or is there kind of the other ones like Foundry and Roll20? Um, uh, because I wouldn't be surprised if it's the one coming out of WotC. But basically, they say kind of again paying for each class. So if you want to play a ranger, that's $1.99. You want to play a druid, that's another $1.99. I have not heard that. I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, WotC, thank you for clarifying. But yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. And the reason why I say that is because for those folks who don't know, um, that's something, that kind of level of monetization there, that's something you see in mobile gaming. You see that very much in mobile gaming. As a matter of fact, mobile gaming makes more money than your typical video games by leaps and bounds. One year, and this is a number of years, at least 10 years ago, but I was looking at Candy Crush, and in a fiscal year, they made basically almost $700 million. seven
yeah,
hundred million dollars, and you want to know why? Because of the small little transactions like that. $1.99 here, 99 cents there, You multiply that over tens of thousands, millions of people, you get drowning in money. And
Yeah.
and honestly, the live service portions are trying to push that as well. They're trying to push the live service stuff where you have to pay continuously, but they're giving you, it's kind of like casinos. They have the slot machines around the kind of the end, the other side, the outside of the main tables. Those are to hook you in, give you a little taste. And that's what that is. $1.99, the 99 cents here, the $5.99 there. Oh, I got $1.99 to spare. And they hook your ass like that. Like psychology is a big, big, big player in video games nowadays.
Oh yeah.
Just be aware of that.
It always was. Like, let's don't get me wrong. It always
was, yeah.
And that was that's just part of the design process. How do I get the player to go from point A to point B without me having to like railroad them there? How do I make them know intuitively that this is where they need to be going? Stuff like that. And so, yeah, psychology was always a thing. And now we also, unfortunately, see more psychology at play and how they can get us to loosen our purse strings a bit,
Insomnia Night, you know that those things are not going to happen, and the reason why is because there is absolutely no way that those casinos are going to share their profits just because they have to pay for the IP use. No way.
Not unless Oxy themselves opens up the casinos.
Right.
Kind of like how Konami does a lot of casinos now. They actually...
They do, really?
Okay, no. Konami has delved pretty hard into slot machines. They're
my god!
They're shit. No, they're like Castlevania slot machines, Silent Hill slot machines. Like they went hard on that stuff. It's the reason why
don't say that too loud.
No, there's a reason why they don't make too many games anymore, especially after Kojima left.
Oh my god. But yeah, so Insomnia Night kind of brings up something called D&D Mobile, which honestly, I don't say that shit too loud, man. God, calm down, because they might be listening. Because yeah, again, it's an interesting kind of direction that, and Matt is right. Psychology is at the heart of game design. It's at the heart of any design. Is kind of the psychological aspect of what colors to use, what shapes to use, all that jazz. It's unfortunate though that aspect of kind of our human nature, and again, might be a little bit over dramatic, is being used predatorily in the video game space. It really is. They're playing off of that aspect of human nature. It's a shame, but they're not the first, so they're not gonna be the last. Yep, exactly. Oh, Mangares. Flappy Birds, which is a clone of Angry Birds, pretty much free, but with in-app advertising, made 50K a day. 50K a day.
I'll give you one correction there. Flappy Bird was not a clone of Angry Birds. They're completely different games. No,
okay,
Flappy Bird
I saw Flappy Bird, so I figured clone.
Just because it's a bird.
That's a pretty easy correlation, I think, though.
Not if you don't know both games.
Not all bird games are the same. Okay, Super Mario clone. Okay.
It kind of. I mean, some of the visuals are there. Gameplay-wise, very different. Honestly, it was incredibly simple. You had a bird, and it would kind of like go down. You would tap the screen, and it'll just kind of like bump up a little. And the entire purpose was just to avoid obstacles.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, I mean, I guess whatever.
So it's a very simple,
totally mind-numbing game. It sounds like.
Look, it's easy for kids and shit to get into. Yep, that's it.
Look, a lot of mobile games are like that. A lot of mobile games don't get complicated because it's like it's stuff that you just play while you're like, on the toilet taking a shit. It's got simple. You just do it for a little bit.
Ooh, Lord Gasumba, thank you very much for the raid.
Lord Gasumba, thank you.
Thank
you for the raid. Holy shit, appreciate you.
Welcome everyone.
Welcome everybody.
Yeah, welcome in, guys. Thank you for the raid. Yeah, wow.
Awesome.
Shit.
So
I feel underdressed now.
So, well, let's just do a quick recap of what we're talking about tonight for the Raiders.
Yes.
Go for it.
So yeah, guys, I mean the kind of title says some of it, but we're basically talking about the recent WotC situation. Well, Hasbro WotC situation of the letting go of 1,100 employees. And again, to be clear, to clarify, the letting go of the 1,100 employees it's already started, but it's going to spread out into 2024. I believe the entirety of 2024. So we're talking about that. We're talking about, or we're going to be talking about soon in the second half of our show today.
You mean as soon as we're done wandering onto casinos and all this other stuff that we wander onto?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
We're going to be talking about the day before. So for those of you who don't know, that was the kind of quick synopsis there. That was a game, and was, because it is no longer available, made by a studio that is no longer with us called Fantastic out of Singapore.
Well,
interesting story there.
I'll correct you on one thing. It is still technically with us, but once we get a bit further into the story, I'll tell you how.
Okay, so it's jerry rigged. Gotcha. And we're also going to go into the Insomnia. Is it Insomnia or no? It's Insomniac. Words. Insomniac situation. Basically, they got hacked, and quite a lot of information was and is being held by ransom, or for ransom, I should say.
Yeah. Also, thank you for the follow, Viral B Gem.
Yeah,
yes, thank you for the follow.
And for anybody else out there, if you have not followed us, please do feel welcome to give us a follow.
Yeah,
that's my 10,000 foot pitch for the night.
There you go. Better than mine. Yeah, Old Man Garrus, it was honestly a scam. It was a shit show. Honestly, they should be fucking ashamed of themselves. But we'll get into that.
That's what a lot of people are saying about it. So give you guys some context, what the day before was. It was a game coming from a studio called Fantastic. No A in there at the start, just FNtastics. But they got a lot of attention. They put out trailers, which looked the trailers looked good. I don't think anyone's going to deny that. The trailers looked good. They got a lot of publicity. News outlets were talking about them. At one point, the day before was one of the most wish-listed items on Steam before its release.
That name, Matt, really quickly, that name, it you every time you say that name, it makes me think of a little blue pill. But unfortunately, that would be the day after, and that it has different effects, I think. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
That's great, Greg.
So, there was a lot of hype behind this game, to say the least.
Yeah.
And then, just the other, by now about a week ago, it released. It sure did release. Albeit that it had been delayed several times. One time it was delayed just days before it was supposed to come out at that point, which usually you don't see delays that close to a scheduled release. A bit of a red flag there. Yeah. But a lot of people do carry that idea of you know what? Something needs a little more time to bake in the oven. Let it bake, so it'll be a better game.
That's what you would think, but that's not really.
That's what you would think, but come about a week ago, game releases, and it is nothing
trash
like what the trailer showed. Honestly, I'm very interested in learning what was happening between the formation of those trailers and the actual game. Because if you looked at screenshots of the trailers and the finished game, it's night and fucking day. Trailer looks amazing, and it's like a zombie shooter kind of.
It's like a zombie survival
zombie survival, that
horror
that type of thing.
deal.
So you have guns, you shoot zombies, you try not to die to
Wow,
zombies,
what
that
an
that type.
original idea.
Look, I mean, it's still okay. You know what?
I like my zombie.
zombie survival.
I like my zombie games. I'll admit, I like my zombie games.
Yeah, and like, it looked good. The gunplay looked good, but then the game comes out, and well, let's just say you have a gun, you shoot the zombie, then like a full second after you shoot the zombie, then it flinches from your gun. There's bugs galore. People are constantly clipping out of bounds in the game, falling to the floor.
It's just a little delayed reaction. I mean, what's the problem with that?
The AI is absolutely brain dead. I guess somewhat fittingly for zombies, but they couldn't even get through an open door to get to the player, and it was it really seemed like something people the studio cobbled together like last minute and threw out there onto the market, because people also found out that like a lot of assets, and I mean most of the assets, were like bought from were like bought assets from like I think the Unreal Marketplace. Which, okay, I'll say one thing. I think, you know, marketplace assets in themselves aren't a bad thing. I think there are some games that have used some assets and, you know, have done very well for themselves and are still good games. I think when you get to an over reliance on them, especially for a proper studio, I'll say proper studio, quote unquote, it's usually not a good sign. So a lot of people felt very cheated, and a lot of people went and immediately got refunds on the game, because what they were led to believe was going to be the game was not at all what it actually was.
Did they actually pay out those refunds?
They did.
I think, yeah, and I think part of that is because Steam does have a system for refunds. It's been a while since I've looked into it. I believe it's like if you're under a certain like playtime for the game, you can still get a refund.
Well, even the game was so bad, I'm pretty sure Steam, if I'm remembering correctly, which I hope
they dropped them.
Steam paid out after. Yeah, because of Steam yeah, they paid out even after that threshold was met. But Insomnia Night, you said something there. Where the doctor says your speak organ is where does that actually happen in the game? I've never played it actually, so but I'm wondering if that's what is actually said, because that would be absolutely fucking hilarious.
That sounds like they tried to make a joke and it probably didn't land.
That can't be it can't be a joke.
It could be again. I haven't I haven't played the game myself. I don't really intend to. Not that I even could.
Thank God, my speak organ is working.
Right.
Jesus. Yeah. I bet the zombies will love that.
Yes, and yeah, if any of you guys were hoping to grab this game for yourself, just hold your horses real quick, because after only 4 days on the market, Fantastic, they took it down. They took the game down from Steam. You can no longer get the game.
I don't know.
If you manage to snag it in time, good for you. But for everyone else, we're gonna have to live our lives without playing.
So Matt, if I manage to snag it in time, can I still get my refund? Because it sounds.
That's a good question. Actually, I wonder how would Steam handle that if the game is already off the market and you're still like.
Well, kind of sounds like this studio did us all a big favor by pulling that back off.
You know, honestly, I'd say so. The less people that spent their money in that thing, the better. And in the fallout of this whole thing, because you have so many people saying scam, because you know you could almost say this has been false advertising. Oh yeah, they're paying. You're paying $40 for this game, by the way. Oof. The broken game, very bare bones, mostly made up of like marketplace assets, all that stuff for $40. But in the follow of this, in addition to uh, pulling the game off of Steam, so you can no longer acquire the game, um, Fantastic announced that they were shutting down the studio. All of their social medias gone. Their website just has like a single memo on it, and it seems like they're just completely gone. And that's what they want you to believe, because this is where I'm going to talk about what I said earlier and how they're not really gone, because these fuckers rebranded. They are now, what was it, 8 points? 8 points? 8 Point Studio? Fuck, I gotta look it up I gotta look it up real quick.
Let's see if anybody can beat Matt to it.
No, I'm looking up. Yeah, 8 Points.
Mm.
So they rebranded as 8 Points, and they actually have a game on Steam, a game called The Wild 8 that was published by a company called Hype Train Digital. And apparently this game has been out since 2019. And so this is the only game currently under this brand spanking new developer. But yeah, this is fantastic. And so they're
fucking trash.
yeah, so they rebranded hoping to get away from the bad publicity, and they're still going. They didn't shut down at all.
Yeah, and I think people are gonna fucking fall for this shit.
No, if you go to the Steam page for The Wild 8, you'll see like in the reviews,
Community's doing their due diligence. Like, nah, don't go with these guys. This is they just got a facelift. This is who they used to be. This is what happens when this is what they look like with their makeup off. Don't take this polished fucking turd.
Yeah, you'll see if you go into the reviews that there are a recent mass wave of negative reviews because this is fantastic. Not this isn't a new developer at all. So yeah, people are not happy after spending their money and like being hyped up for this game that ended up not really existing. However long that they said that they're developing that thing, I don't know if all that time really was spent developing that game because of what it ended up being. It was just a thrown together mess of marketplace assets and bare bones AI. And I mean, I saw one bug that seen a lot of clips where NPCs for some reason would have just wild body proportions. And when I mean wild, I mean like you could be down the street and you see just a giant head with a tiny body. And it's
Oh
like,
yeah, that is true. That is true.
what's going on over there?
That is very true, Mangarus.
Oh god, skibidi bodies. Yes, essentially, yes.
Yeah. So for those of you guys who don't know, the majority of, if not the entirety of the development team on this fucking dumpster fire of a game were volunteers, meaning no one got paid.
Yeah, no, there was at one point where they did call for volunteers to help, which is that's another red flag.
That
because
is fucking wild.
Yeah, because it's like the question of the ethical question of essentially having your community create your game for you for free, and
Essentially what happened,
also brings into question the capability of the developers of the studio that they're
at least
asking for people to help like that. Like that's
at least they could
that's
have
a red flag.
At least they could have called them interns.
Right? But no, that's like not even that's not even an unpaid internship. Because at least unpaid interns are there with the hope of like, maybe once this internship is over, I can get a job here. That's the hope. But no, they're just like, you guys want to help make the game that we're totally making ourselves?
We're not going to pay you anything.
Yeah, it's a.
Any takers? Honestly, I'm curious as to the why anyone would take that.
I don't.
Like,
I'm just. I'm
I'm
curious
not
to see.
getting. You're not paying me.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, honestly,
mean,
I think you know the answer to that as well, though, Rob, because I mean,
Yeah.
that's sometimes you look at those things as just an opportunity to build your own portfolio, and
Yeah.
say
True,
you've be able to say
while
that you've worked on this project or that project or whatever it happens to be, and
while
you're.
true,
But
while true, I mean, maybe I'm just I expect too much because I'm sorry, man. If I was a developer in that situation, I saw that many red flags.
mhm.
I would already know. Nope, this ain't going nowhere. I don't want my name anywhere near this shit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many people uh, actually went for that. I'll say offer, but
Ugh.
Maybe nobody did. That's why their
Greg's.
game was garbage.
Yeah, I mean, Greg's not wrong. The chance to
No, he's
kind of
absolutely
name on
right.
something, have a portfolio piece. I mean, there's a reason a lot of game developers got their start in modding. In addition to kind
Mhm.
of like learning a lot of the skills for, creating new things that comes with modding,
Ugh.
those mods can also become part of their portfolio pieces. Like, hey, I made this mod and it has, this many downloads. People really like it. It works, and
Mm.
that and so that's a real thing. That's a real thing.
Oh no, I'm aware. It's just
Old man Garrus has got a truth bomb he just dropped.
he does.
So
Oh,
yeah, before they moderated their Discord, apparently they had over 100 people as volunteer devs. So
100?
holy shit!
What is going? Oh my goodness, what is going on over there? Holy shit!
Yo, they must have had a really good fucking elevator pitch.
I mean,
They must
they
yo.
did.
They must have had the Wolf of Wall Street there selling
They.
people pens to write their names. Because holy shit,
I mean,
that's wild.
no, they did have a good elevator pitch. The trailers they put out looked fantastic. They got a lot of publicity. They got people hyped for this game. Like as I said
So,
earlier, it was one of the most wish listed games on Steam.
so here's a question to the audience, guys. Has anyone here played it? Like, has anyone I sat down and played this game? Maybe they can shed some light on this.
That's an excellent question. I'd be surprised if anyone did because it's no longer available.
oh, we got a taker.
Garrus.
No, Garrus.
Did you get a refund?
Okay.
Or did you
Did
keep
you get
it?
your refund, Garrus, or did you keep the game? And I'm
And
curious,
I would like
man.
I would like to say first of all, my condolences.
Yo, for real. How much was this game? Like $40?
$40.
Oof.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not. It was not a cheap game by any means. So, which
I mean, $40 is cheap for most games nowadays. Most games are like $75.
if you compare it to like a full-on AAA title, yeah. But if you're going from a somewhat smaller studio, then $40 is pricey.
Oh shoot, man! I was gonna ask you to family share with
Oh.
me.
Gotcha. So he basically needed it for a YouTube video, and he knew it was good. Okay, so he basically said he set that up. He's like, I'm gonna roast the shit out of this fucking game.
Okay.
So how bad was it? Like, was there any redeeming qualities about the game at all?
Because I haven't heard anything good.
I have heard
only
absolutely
bad
nothing good
things.
about this game. Basically, it is a dumpster fire and then some. Is basically the general consensus. Which, with the fact that the studio behind it rebranded and removed the game from Steam, says a lot.
Yeah, like they've pretty much tried to wipe away like their entire digital footprint and
Thank you,
try
Celtic.
to become someone else. Thank you for the follow, Celtic Boy.
Celtic Boar 13, thank you for the follow, man.
The
Welcome, welcome.
comment, your speak organ is working, is slightly ridiculous. Okay, you know what? There is a level of
Oh,
like you can laugh at it. It's so bad that can be charming. I mean, there was a reason why
oh.
like games like like Oblivion was so beloved because some of its jankiness was just funny.
Mm,
I don't know how much that would apply to the day before if it's just
your
the
speak
just bad
organ
bad, not even funny bad, which that's the worst thing.
is.
I mean, okay, if I saw those giant heads, that would be kind of funny.
I love the Fifth Element reference there, Old Man Garrus. That's a classic. If you haven't watched it, watch it. Fifth Element, fantastic movie. Um, but I'm sorry, your speak organ is working. That you got to give me more than that if I'm paying you 40 fucking bones. I mean, honest, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Ah,
it's it's certainly a
Nope. Nope,
crazy
that's all you get. The whole
situation.
game is centered on this one piece right here.
Yeah, like again, I really want to know how they put those trailers together.
well, I mean, from what I've researched here, who's gifting you subs while you're not here? You can thank Greg for that one. He's being Santa Claus this
Merry Christmas, man.
year. And welcome
Happy
in, Gamer,
Hanukkah. Whatever
if
your
you've
floats your boat.
just showed up. But from what I heard, apparently the studio, former studio now, um, or kind of former studio because they just rebranded. Anyway, they spent a lot of effort and money, our money and investor money, on making the flashiest fucking trailer possible. So that's kind of how they got you. They basically painted the turd as nicely as they could. That way you couldn't see the shit underneath.
At least just think in the final product that pretty paint isn't even there. Like
To the lot,
the visuals are night and day between the trailers
It's
and
a
the actual
mirage. It's a
till I got
mirage
him.
thing. Yeah.
Fucking got him. They're
for the
like, ha,
thirsty man in the desert.
yo, for real.
And then
They
you get
pulled a,
there and realize, oh,
yeah, they pulled a fucking
this little
magic
puddle
trick.
of camel pee in the middle of the sand. That's all it
Yeah,
is. No.
exactly what. God damn. I just got to get that pre. Honestly, that is so true. Actually,
Did they do pre-orders?
sidebar. Probably most games do pre-orders now. Sidebar. Um, I you guys know about it. I posted it in my server. Um, games then and now. So back in the day, games would give you a finished product as the game, and then you'd get your fries. And if you look at the games back in the day as a combo meal at say McDonald's, you get your burger. That's your main game, all filled out. You got your patties, your cheese, your bacon, your lettuce, and all that jazz. That's the full game. Then you get your fries and your Coke as your expansion piece. Nowadays, bacon is what you get as your pre-order bonus. Then you get the bun as the main game. Then the lettuce, the meat, the cheese are all or DLCs
The
or
fries are not
expansion. The
even
fries aren't
an
even
option.
fucking included. Yeah, the
Right, that's
fries aren't
like a
even fucking included.
totally different thing that you have to buy separately now. So,
Yo, it's absolutely wild. The shit that the gaming industry is doing now.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I was saying when we were talking about Baldur's Gate 3 and why that goes so much against the grain of what you see in the modern gaming industry.
Because it's a
Because
full
it's
fucking meal and then
yeah,
some.
yeah, and you get it all for that price. And I'm not going to say that Baldur's Gate 3 didn't have its bugs when it came out. There were some that did exist yet, but yes, but it was a broken game.
Yeah, and there was some issues. I mean, there was some criticism about the third act, which didn't have the kind of oomph that the first two had. And again, for those of you guys who don't know, that is par for the course. A lot of that stuff is front loaded, and they backfill it as the game comes out. Is it a perfect system? No. But again, Grimwolf, and you said it perfectly. Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 was done. It was a done fucking game. You got your whole meal right there. And here's the thing with Baldur's Gate 3 and Larian Studios as a studio. All the updates that they've put in, all the stuff, that's all free. You don't have to pay for that stuff. All that stuff is free. And the argument can be made by a bunch of folks. I was going to say something worse, but be nice. That's stuff. That stuff that they should have been had in the game. That should have came with the game.
Yeah, what's wrong with that, old man Garrison?
the 40 gigabyte patch.
Game's got to launch on time, man. Whether it's done or not, it's coming.
Old man Garrus is pulling a Christopher Judge.
Yeah, man called out Call of Duty in the fucking Game Awards.
Yep, said my speech last year was longer than your main campaign. Oh, the funny thing is, the camera did pan to the folks over at Blizzard, and they did not look too happy about that.
I mean, they weren't the only one. Todd Howard was not looking very happy that night either.
he wasn't wrong though. He wasn't wrong. He wasn't. That man can't say shit because Christopher Judge is right. Christopher Judge is right. Your whole main campaign could have been done in 20 minutes. How the
fuck? I mean, look, Call of Duty didn't get any kind of. They weren't even nominated.
They weren't even nominated
for anything. So you know what? Talk some shit.
I mean, I'd talk some shit. I'm talking shit now. Trash.
We are
fucking trash. Blizzard, you trash. I said what I fucking said. Like Christopher Judge, company I won't work with. Oh well.
Do we want to get to the final piece of news?
Yeah, the final piece, and this one is. I mean, there's still information coming out about it. So again, it's just our initial kind of thoughts on this and feelings on this one. Matt, go ahead. You've actually kind of dug into this more than either of us. So go ahead and lead the charge, buddy.
Yeah, and by digging into this is more like me just earlier today. So I don't have all of the info, and I'm sure there's going to be coming up more because this like just happened very recently.
Yeah.
Well, why not?
Maybe I think.
Why don't you have all the info?
Before you go into that, old man Garrus exactly fucking that. And Grimwolf, yes, he is actually retiring. I believe at the end of this year. If not, then as soon as they find his replacement. I believe that was kind of what we heard when we finally, a couple months ago when Microsoft finally acquired Blizzard Activision and Bobby Kotick was.
Wow, everything is going to get better now. Microsoft owns it.
No, it's not.
Microsoft's policy, I believe, has been don't
hands off.
Hands off. So
yeah, just rake in the money.
As long as it's producing profits, we don't touch it. When it stops making us money, we turn it off.
I'll be happy that Bobby Kotick is going to be out there, but I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait to see if anything really changes at Activision Blizzard because
probably not.
There are plenty of other people in that company who I'm sure were right there with Bobby Kotick on a lot of those decisions that have been made. So I'm gonna wait on that bit. But back to what we're here to talk about.
Are we supposed to stop sidetracking you now?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking now.
I didn't read that memo. Sorry.
Apparently, Matt's the captain now.
I am the captain now. So, Insomniac Games, the creators of, beloved IPs like Ratchet and Clank, Jack and Daxter, and most recently the Spider-Man games. An amazing studio that has, and Resistance. They did Resistance as well. That was them. I forgot about that. Look, they make great games. They've always done super well. I've never looked at stuff that they've done and be like, bro, why the fuck you gotta do that? That was shitty. We lost Rob. I'll keep on going. I don't need Rob.
We don't need no Rob. Oh, hey Rob, how you doing?
They recently got hacked by a ransomware group called Resida. And this was a really bad hacking. Like we've been seeing over the past couple of years and a trend. Maybe I shouldn't say trend, but this seems to be happening more commonly as of late of game studios getting hacked. Happened to CD Projekt Red shortly after 2077 dropped. It had happened to Capcom in 2020, I think it was, and it's been happening a lot lately. And with Insomniac, they got a lot stolen from them. One of the
Yeah.
most notable things is a lot of data about the upcoming Wolverine game, and this even included early builds. Like that's actually pretty huge. That
Yeah.
early builds of the game got stolen. In addition to a lot of other upsetting things, such as employee info, which included a lot of their like social security numbers and stuff like that. And this group, Resida, was essentially holding that stuff for ransom. I believe the price was $2 million. And Insomniac, they didn't do it. It was a 7-day deadline, I believe, and so the Reseda essentially auctioned it off. So someone out there bought that info, and it's somewhere out there. So a lot of leaks, a lot of info, employee info,
Assets,
a lot of stuff has gotten out there. And
Yeah,
to put
that's
this
pretty
in
fucking rough.
perspective, like this is probably one of the biggest hacks that we've seen yet in this industry. And to put this into perspective a little bit, the number of files that were stolen.
They did. They did.
Yeah, there's well over a terabyte of data containing, I believe it was about 1.3 million files were stolen. That's a lot. That is a lot of that's a lot of stuff that just got stolen.
That's more than Hillary's emails.
Oh God.
Yo, chill, Greg. Chill, man. I want to see the end of 2023, man. I mean, suddenly go missing. What the fuck?
Oops, I'm sorry. I apologize.
But
God.
But
no,
yeah,
we're not. We are not going to do that. Go ahead, Matt.
But Infinity Core, honestly, you would think that would be the take, and honestly, I get where you're coming from, but sometimes the studio can't afford to take that position. I mean, and we're going to get off on a quick tangent here, Matt, and then we'll get back on track. When a studio hires for these games, they still got people to pay. They still got people to pay. They got a thing to make, and unfortunately, and I'm hoping that Insomniac actually does continue to make this game. Number one, for those employees that have been affected by this hack, for them to continue to have a livelihood. And honestly, fuck that hacker group. Disrespectfully, I hope y'all fucking. Anyway,
yeah,
I hope the game still gets made because first of all, it needs to, because a Wolverine game would be fucking dope. I mean, if you haven't seen the last Wolverine movie that came out, Logan, go watch it. There's another, and he's coming back. Hugh Jackman's coming back, so let's do that. But I hope it gets made because it does need to.
I think it's still definitely getting made because they're probably already a good bit into development, like a bit too far to just abandon just because there were some leaks. Because even with those leaks, there's still early builds. There's still a lot that could change from now until then. And secondly, this isn't like an in-house IP for Insomniac. This is Marvel, because I guess Marvel really liked what they did with Spider-Man. So like, hey, take Wolverine 2, see what we can do with it. So Marvel is expecting a game as well. So this game, I'd be very surprised to hear if it actually got canceled because of this. I think I think it's still going to come out.
I
It
don't
just
know.
means,
I
well,
don't. I don't.
Disney, technically Disney, yes, since they
Yeah.
own
Right, and I don't know. That's definitely worth looking into because Bob Iger announced a few weeks ago, the CEO of Disney, that essentially all of the only the projects that were basically cut to release were going to be released, and they pretty much cleared the slate on everything else that was going on. Um, Back to the basics, which is probably a good thing for them.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know whether this was
A
part of that or
reset might
not,
not be a
but
bad idea.
right, right.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, that's, I mean, and again, this is still fairly new information. So as we get more, you know, as a community, I'm sure we'll be talking more about this. Um, but guys, if you haven't already, please join our Discord. There you can talk to us directly and get kind of we can, you know, have that conversation and kind of get a better idea of you know, what you guys want to talk about, because that is important. We are here to discuss kind of the industry as a whole. For those who are kind of new joining the update log, that's what we do here. We kind of we discuss the industry, the news coming out, the good, the bad, the ugly. Our Discord is again where you'll find us most days, all the time actually. You'll find folks that we've collaborated with and partnered with and talked to. Folks like Oz Mills, who's, if you guys don't know him, is a fantastic writer for a number of IPs. Folks from Free League Press, things like that, and Artel Sword Games, just to name a few. Um, what else?
And there's people like Old Man Garrison there,
And Old Man Garrus, yes, Old
and
Man Garrus is
Insomnia
there,
Night,
so you guys get to pick his brain and
and
yep,
Lord
Insomnia
Gasumba.
Night. Yes, and Lord Gasumba. Thank you, Greg. He's the one that kind of keeps me on track here. Um, but yeah, I mean, again, guys, you know, that's kind of where you'll be able to post your questions and kind of ideas and your tinfoil hat theories, because we love tinfoil hats here. But housekeeping stuff.
Yes.
Housekeeping, the favorite part here. Greg, I'll let you kind of kick that one off.
Okay. Well, for everybody who does follow our regular game stream, we're not going to be doing a game stream this week. We decided we've got a lot of projects that we're working on right now, and with the holidays and everything else, we decided to just do the update log this week. So we will not be doing a game stream tomorrow night. However, we may individually maybe do something later on in the week. Maybe do a little game play or something like that. I don't know. And then next week, I think we have a game stream planned for next week. We'll see what happens with that with Christmas. For those of you who would like to see a game stream next week, please do drop us a note in the Discord and let us know. Because if you guys want a game stream, we will definitely make sure that we do a game stream for you. If you're not gonna be, you've got other things going on, you're spending time with your family and whatnot, you just don't really feel like you need any idiotic entertainment from us, then so be it. We'll take that night off. But we are going to be doing the update log next week, Wednesday.
Yes, the 27th. Yes, 27th. We'll be back with another episode of the update log, episode 33, before the end of 2023. We kept something spicy for you guys, so be on the lookout for that. Again, join our Discord. That's where we kind of post updates and stuff like that and interact with our community most regularly. Varl B. Gem. I agree. I wouldn't have paid either. I would have told him to go fucking pound sand and a couple of other things that I can't say here in stream, unfortunately. Probably shouldn't say because, you know, family friendly. Not really.
Are we family friendly? We
not
are.
at all.
Well,
Not even.
I think we are, but I mean, I don't know. Some people
depends on
may
the family.
disagree.
Depends on the family.
Yeah.
And apparently, Old Man Garrus said you can still buy a fucking key for 300 bones. Are you bullshitting me, Woman Garrus?
Look, I mean, they're resellers will charge anything. I'm pretty sure you can find one for like $12,000.
Probably.
I don't want it that bad, Garrus.
But even $234 for this fucking game. Oh my god.
Resellers are nuts, especially now that the game's not even on the market. There's a very limited supply.
For a pile of shit. There's a limited supply for a pile of shit. Let that sink in, please.
Yeah, but
I'll buy that for $1. Yeah,
nothing, Grimwolfen. Exactly zero. Nothing.
Somebody will pay that. Nothing. So a little more maintenance stuff before we run off on everybody here. Starting in January, so beginning of the year, we do have a couple of different game streams that we need to do yet. Make sure that you check those out. Mutant Year Zero is one of them. Matt will be running that game, so it'd be fantastic to see Matt do some DMing on the channel here, and we'll see if he can handle us as players. Maybe.
Depending on how unruly you are, you might get struck by random bolts of lightning.
I was gonna say, man, the one time that I have, well, I mean, I've played with you a lot, but the one time that I've played an RP character in a game that you ran on a stream, you killed me. I just, it really hurt me. It hurt my heart, man.
I need to talk about the ending of Alien. Maybe I don't need to talk about the ending of Alien.
I mean, yeah, that is true. Greg, if you want to call, you call people out. Pot meet kettle. Just say it.
All right. Just gang up on me now. I got
it. You brought it on yourself.
But yeah, we got we got the Mutant Year Zero campaign coming up, which and we're pretty excited about. Pretty excited to see what we do with that, and it's a game that we have never played before, so yes. It'll definitely be something exciting. We had Thomas Herenstam on like about a month and a half ago, and we sat down for a chat with him really about his career and his life as CEO of Free League Press, but he also took some time and talked about this system with us, so we're pretty excited to check that out. We have a couple other systems that we're also going to be doing. We're looking at getting the creator of Vesson on and taking a look at that system as well.
That is going to be in this coming year. And I mean, obviously, as those who've been following the channel know, we do also play a lot of systems that we talk about. So Vaesen will be one of the systems that we'll be tucking into. To give you guys a kind of a heads up on it, it is similar to Call of Cthulhu, kind of Eldritch horror investigative type game. Very, very well received by the community. And honestly, after looking at it, it's really cool.
Baptized.
But yeah, I gotta ask, man. So one of your players decided to make an umbrella out of a giant's scrotum.
Well,
interesting.
Okay.
You know what? I'm going to bring up precedents for that type of thing.
Precedent for making umbrellas.
There's worse things that you could make an umbrella out of, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
In Norse mythology, the entire world is created from the corpse of a frost giant. So, what's an umbrella compared to that?
You're not wrong. I don't have a rebuttal for that. You're not wrong.
In answer to your question, Baptize, why, yes, of course we are going to GaryCon. As a matter of fact, we have 2 products that we're working on right now for GaryCon. We are going to be, the 3 of us actually are going to be running games for GaryCon, which is coming up, the 50th anniversary of D&D, coming up in March 2024. So I will be there live all 4 days running 2 games a day. We have a first peek. So we have a very special campaign that we're working on right now for Cyberpunk And the only way to play it initially will be at GaryCon. It'll be a 4-part session that we're doing, one a day, 4 hours a day for it. So looking forward to seeing some folks at the table. There are only 6 seats at each table. So as soon as they open up, if you want a seat, better grab one. And then the second campaign will be a Witcher campaign that we're also custom designing just for GaryCon this year. We'll be there in support of Mike Pondsmith, who is also going to be at GaryCon. And
Yes.
Artelsorian Games is going to be supporting us. Some of the folks from Artelsorian are going to be coming out to GaryCon with Mike to kind of assist with the games, stuff like that. And Artelsorian has graciously decided to put up some prizes and some freebies that are going to be given out at GaryCon.
Yeah.
So
And
come check it
yeah.
out.
Cody Pondsmith may also be making an appearance at GaryCon. And for those of you who don't know, they just officially announced the title for his, I want to say his magnum opus, Shadowscar. And I can't speak for them, but I would be surprised if they weren't showcasing some of that at GaryCon this year. So
we have actually brought up with him if the system is at a point where it is possible, we may we also may not be able to run a first peak session of
here on the channel.
well, we could do it here on the channel, or we could also do it at GaryCon.
At GaryCon, yeah, GaryCon, or both. Why the fuck not?
Right?
But yeah, I think that is everything for housekeeping. So again, you guys have a happy holidays. Obviously we're gonna see most of you after the Christmas, if again that's the holiday you celebrate. Happy holidays to everyone. Merry Christmas to those who follow that particular holiday. Hopefully things go well for all of you. Season's blessings, all that jazz.
6 hours is nothing, man. Come on.
Yeah, 6 hours. That's not.
It's only
That's,
a quarter of a day.
Yeah, that's
I
not.
sleep for that long, you know?
Matt, your ass sleeps fucking ever. This man does
Wow.
not wake up before noon. Calling
Again,
you out.
no, I've gotten better about that recently.
Why, you wake up at 11:59?
Yes. Makes all the difference.
And 59 seconds.
All right.
Waking up in the AM, baby.
Wow.
Fucking progress. Honestly, on a Grimwolf, and between you and me, he kind of does go to bed. Like, I'd be catching his ass up playing fucking Sea of Stars.
It's a good fucking game, man.
But anyway, guys, again, thank you very, very much for joining us for episode 32 of the Update Log. And again, join links in the chat. Join our Discord. We're there pretty much all the time. You can catch us, talk to us. Give us ideas for episode topics or things that you want to see and want to talk about. Or if you guys have played some TTRPGs that we haven't played, toss them in our Discord. Give us ideas on what to kind of showcase on the channel. But we also have the links to our other socials in there. YouTube, Twitter, or X it's now called. But anyway,
I'm calling it
you guys
Twitter.
have a good night. Yeah, we're still calling it Twitter. You guys have a good night and a good holiday. Merry Christmas. Love you guys. Adios.
Wow. Rob said he loves you guys. That's
Oh
fantastic.
my
Me
goodness.
too, by the
He's
way.
never even told me that
So
before.
we're gonna have to be. Oh, that's because we don't love you. Anyway,
Take a hint, Matt. Take a hint.
we're gonna raid into Little Bones tonight. So please do show her some love. She looks like she is doing something creative tonight. So that is fantastic. Everybody have a good evening. Thank you very much.
Yep, see you guys
Adios.
next time.